Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. Brian, Mr. Smith Kitchen, as always. And today we're going to do a cookie. And the reason why we're going to do a cookie is because last week when we made our apple spice cupcakes, and I told you at the end of the video, if you stuck around that long or near the end of the video, that I would put a link to my snickerdoodle recipe if you were so inclined to make the snickerdoodles for that cupcake. And only to find out, for as many times as I've made this cookie, I've never done a video. So in order for you to know how to make my snickerdoodles, you're going to have ingredients list and how to. So that being said, that's what we're going to do tonight. They're a really easy cookie, and I take great pride in this cookie because it's one of probably only a handful of anything I make that I will tell you that it is fantastic. I mean, truly, I make these very well. So I know my recipe for these works. The ingredients are proper. I do measure everything in grams, although I mean, I'll give you the cups, tablespoons, and teaspoons, of course, as always, along with the grams. So if you have a scale, I'd recommend using it and doing grams versus the cups, tablespoons, and teaspoons. I've never actually made any of my baked goods using those standard measurements. But anyhow, that being said, if this is your first video, welcome. I'm glad you stopped by. If you're returning, thank you. That's awesome. We have, you know, so many new subscribers, as I said on yesterday's dinner video, that it's overwhelming in a way, and it's not nearly what some people have, but to me, it's a lot. If you are one of those new subscribers, thank you. Thank you very much for wanting to be a part of the neighborhood and helping me to grow this neighborhood. You know, to be able to share, you know, with our community and, you know, your community around you, you know, good food, baked goods, you know, just being an all-around good neighbor, looking out for each other, being kind. The world needs kindness right now, hands down. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you haven't already. And comments are always welcome. Just keep them nice. That's all I ask. It's okay to disagree, you know, or have an opinion, obviously, but just be civil about it, right? Think before you type. And so far, you know, we have one video, and it's a potato candy video, old school potato candy video that's got almost 20,000 views in the last 3 weeks. And everybody, and I mean everybody, with the exception of like 1 or 2 people, have been so polite, so kind. And not everybody has said something that's, you know, been agreeable. You know, we've had a handful that have been like, your videos are too long, which I'm going to address that in a separate video. There's a reason for that, but it won't be on this one. But like I said, comments are great. I respond to all of them, and I do mean all of them. And just be civil, you know, be polite. So anyhow, like, subscribe, share, comments, thank you. Measurements in standard cups, teaspoons, tablespoons, also in, there goes our oven, also in grams and milliliters if it applies. So first thing we want to do is put our oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, so that way we know we got it up and running. And now we can get down to the counter and start putting some cookies together. All right, hold on for me 1 second. Okay, so down here at the counter, and we are going to start with the dry ingredients. And so we need a bowl. Now, like I said, I recommend a scale. You will need a medium-sized bowl and something, and then a larger bowl with whether it's your hand mixer or a stand mixer. I almost solely use my stand mixer. Occasionally, I'll use a whisk or a hand mixer, but I like my stand mixer. So, anyhow, dry ingredients. First thing I have in here is I have some flour. It's just regular all-purpose flour. I have 2 3/4 cups plus 1 tablespoon. It took me forever to figure out why I had too many grams written down on my list, and then it hit me one day, oh yeah, I have a tablespoon extra in here. So it's 355 grams or 2 3/4 cups plus 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour. And to this, I am going to add in this cup here, I don't know if you can see all 3 ingredients, maybe not, but I have 2 tablespoons of cream of tartar. I have 1 tablespoon of I'm sorry, 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar at 8 grams, 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of baking soda, and a half a teaspoon, 2 grams of salt, and that's kosher salt. And we're going to throw that in there, just like that. And cream of tartar is a must in snickerdoodles. It gives it that distinct snickerdoodle flavor. So I've been told. I just know they're good. I've never had anything else other than whipped topping with cream of tartar in it, so I don't know. But we gotta get that stirred up, just like such. All right, we got that mixed up. Now, set that off to the side, just like that. Now we can move on to our wet ingredients. And it's literally just 4 ingredients. You can't really shake it with a stick or beat it with a stick. So the first thing we have is our butter. It's unsalted butter. It is 2 sticks, 1 cup, 228 milligrams of butter. I stuck it back in the freezer for that. You don't want, so with these at any rate, you want your butter softened but not at room temperature. And I had stuck that back in the fridge because it got a little too warm. I don't want my end result, my dough to be, my cookie dough to be too warm, or I'll have to put it back in the fridge. Side note. And to that, we are going to add 1.5 cups, 300 grams of sugar. Now you may notice that this sugar is not pure white. It is a natural sugar cane. I switched over to using it for everything but icings and whipped topping, and I'm about to just switch it to where the only thing I'm using a processed or refined sugar for is whipped toppings. Not that sugar is healthy, but this is a little healthier. It doesn't get bleached. It's just plain old raw sugar cane. So we're gonna add that in there. It doesn't change the flavor, 1 iota. We'll put that in there, and then we're going to cream these two together. Okay, so we got our butter creamed and with our sugar, and as always, it's light and fluffy. If you are new to baking, you don't know what light and fluffy is, I'll show you real quick. Won't take 2 seconds. Because I know a lot of instructional videos will tell you light and fluffy, but they don't really show you, and they don't really tell you kind of, I mean, I give you a for example. So if we look real quick, that is light and fluffy right there. Now, light and fluffy is kind of like mashed potatoes. You know, it's kind of like the consistency of a good mashed potato. So, go ahead and scrape down the sides of our bowl. Just like such. And then our next ingredient is going to be 2 eggs. And they're large eggs, 100 grams worth of egg, 2 yolks, 2 whites. But we're only going to put these in 1 at a time, just like when we bake a cake. So we'll get that in, we'll let it incorporate. Then we'll put our other one in, and we'll finish letting those incorporate completely. And then we only have 1 more ingredient to put in besides our dry. Alright, we got that in there, and then I'm just going to turn it back down on low. We're going to go ahead and get our vanilla in there. That was 1 teaspoon, 4 grams worth of vanilla extract, baker's vanilla. And we'll get that mixed in there just real quick. We just want to incorporate it. We are good to go there. Now we'll take the time to go ahead and scrape down our bowl again and our paddle real quick. We just want to make sure everything's, you know, no oddball, not mixed up spots, because every mixer, stand mixer, hand mixer, both will have bare spots. Like you can see down in here right now, which I know you can't. Someday I'll get another glass bowl. Used to have one. You would see there was a couple white streaks in there where the egg hadn't quite got down to the bottom. But we've got all our wet is together, so now we're down to just putting in our dry ingredients. So we'll go ahead and take our dry ingredients. Get our spatula back out of there. And we're just going to put those in all at once. Now, word to the wise, when you start your mixer back up, low. If not, you are going to have a face full of powder. So, and all we're going to do is let this mix until it's completely incorporated. All right, we are completely together, and it should be stiff. Now, this is where I was talking about if you need to put your batter back into the fridge for about 5-10 minutes. If it's too warm, you just want to get that butter stiffened back up. You'll know if it's too warm. It'll be loose. It'll be, it won't form a ball. So you'll know here in about 2 minutes. Because our next step, as soon as I get all this off of here, is we're going to make up some dough balls. This is actually kind of what I think is the fun part. Alright, well, let me get this scraped up and cleaned up and get my pans over here, and we will move on to the next step. Okay, I got everything cleaned up. So there are a couple different ways you can do this. You can either use a cookie scoop like this, or you can do it the way I'm going to do it, because I like to make sure that I want to be dead on my size of my dough ball, and I shoot for as little as 20 milliliters, 20 grams all the way up to 30, and today I'm going to do 30, which should net you about 30 to about 3 dozen cookies. So we're going to go 30 grams, right, or 1 cookie scoop's worth, which is about 30 grams. And then all we're going to do is take it, roll it in a dough ball, just like that. And then we're just going to coat it in cinnamon sugar. Now, to make your cinnamon sugar, it is a 1/4 cup of sugar at 50 grams and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, which is about 1 gram. It doesn't really register on my scale. My scale doesn't have a 3rd digit to the right of the decimal, so but it's really close to 1 gram. And then I just mix it up with a fork. So once again, 30 grams or 1 cookie scoop worth. Roll it into a ball. Now, if you don't have gloves per se, and you use a scoop, when you scoop it, just put it right into your cinnamon sugar. And if you take it and roll it around in your cinnamon sugar, it won't stick to your hands, and then you can just form your ball then. And then I'm going to place them on my parchment paper, on my cookie sheet, 2 inches apart. So I'm going to go ahead and get these made up, and then we'll talk about putting these in the oven and how long to bake them for. Okay, so we got all our cookies on 2 sheets. I ended up getting 30 of them, well, 32 at 30 grams each. But some of them are 31, 32. They're not perfectly even, but they're close. And so at 30 milligrams, you probably get a full 36 out of them. I know at 20 you get 48, which is what we did with the snickerdoodles for the apple spice cupcakes, with the snickerdoodles crushed on top. So I know at 20 milligrams it'll give you 48. So there's that. 30 milligrams, or 30 grams, 20 grams, 30 grams, will get you at least 32. So, what are we going to do with these? Well, first I'm going to stick them in the oven. And you're going to want to bake these about 7 to 9 minutes. It really just depends on your oven. I know this oven, mine in particular, I go 9 minutes. I check them at 8. Because every recipe is a little different. Hands down. But I'll start checking them around 7-8 minutes, more likely 8 minutes, because that seems to be about the norm. Like I said, I've made these a few dozen times now over the years, and it usually runs 8 to 9 minutes in my oven, but it may take a little longer, a little less on yours. It depends on your oven. So, that being said, things to look for: they should be a light golden brown around the edge, and fluffy in the middle, soft. Not doughy, but soft. Definitely light golden brown around the edge. When that happens, we will take them out of the oven and talk about what to do next. All right, I'll see you here in a second. It's for 9 minutes each sheet. And then after we pull them out of the oven, I set them on a higher rack, well, a rack, while still on the pan, and I let them sit for just like 2 minutes. 3 minutes at most. And now we're just gonna take them off. We're taking them off and just putting them on a bigger rack or a different rack, so that way they can cool. Now, when these were baking, me and Chris were talking about what exactly does cream of tartar do, because it's not a real commonly used ingredient, but what does it do for the snickerdoodle that makes it, a necessity in a snickerdoodle other than the taste? So in case you didn't know, the cream of tartar does add a tangier taste. It adds a little tang to your cookie, so to speak. But another thing it does is it will cause your sugar to not crystallize completely, which it keeps it from getting crunchy. So which allows it to be chewy, basically, and that's pretty awesome. Get this last couple on here. Well, I don't have room for that last one, so we're gonna have to make room, right? So how are we gonna make room? We're gonna eat one. That's my favorite way to make room with cookies. Now, we make these not as often as we would like to by any stretch of the imagination, only because we would all weigh 600 pounds at our house. These are one of our favorite cookies. It is Chris's absolute favorite cookie. My personal favorite is my peanut butter cookie, which I worked very hard to make that recipe just right in my mind. This recipe is just right in my mind. It's what I think a snickerdoodle should be. It's what my family thinks a snickerdoodle should be. Same with peanut butter cookie. I've been working on a chocolate chip cookie recipe that is a chewy yet cake-like yet crispy. I want all three elements in it, and I've been working on that now for almost 4 years, even prior to this channel and me baking all the time. But anyhow, I digress. Here is our cookie, and I mean, if you can, well, you can't really hear it, but it's got a nice crunch on the inside. It's still, or on the outside, it's still chewy on the inside, right? It's still soft, and that's what you want to look for, in my mind at any rate, for a snickerdoodle. And I'm here to tell you, you're not gonna find a better cookie anywhere. You are gonna impress so many people with this cookie if you make them. It's a good any time of the year cookie, but now that it's fall, getting near the holidays, snickerdoodles are very popular. And I would hands down add this to your repertoire of cookies. You make us some easy cookies like this, give them to people, oh, you're gonna be a rock star, I guarantee it. So, these cookies don't take any time to make at all. We just banged out almost 3 dozen cookies in less than 30 minutes, 35 minutes. That's pretty solid. And that is, I mean, which means this video probably won't even be nearly that long. Most of that time was them in the oven. It doesn't take but about 15 minutes to put them together. And then, like I said, in the oven, in this case it was about 18 minutes because I had 2 sets. You can't argue that. So, give these a try if you're so inclined. And I think you should be so inclined because you're gonna be amazed. Your friends are gonna be amazed. Your family's gonna be amazed. Everybody's gonna be amazed. I promise. And let me know if you do. All right? Yeah, I mean, let me know. Try these. Let me know if you do, whether it be a comment down below, Facebook, Messenger if you're on Instagram. However you want to let me know. Or if you have something you do different. I have learned all kinds of different ways to do different things now. Since our community's grown so much, so many ideas for rolling in. So many. All of them wonderful. Not one bad one yet. I could even see doing something as taking these and dipping them halfway into some chocolate. You know, I think that would be good. It'd be interesting at any rate, but I think it would be good. You know, either way, let me know. So next week for supper, not sure, but we're gonna get into some things I really want to do, because I know, like, we're getting ready to throw some holiday parties. I don't know if people still throw holiday parties anymore. I know we do, but I don't know if anybody else does. So I'm thinking about doing some like party style dishes, like some dips, some pinwheels, things like that, different types of pinwheels. But we may just do a meal. I haven't decided yet, because there are so many good things to make out there. So I really don't know what we're gonna do for dinner next week, or dessert for that matter. But I'll figure it out before we get there. And I guarantee you it's gonna be filling and probably pretty delicious. I haven't failed yet, and I've been doing this now for a couple years. So anyhow, till next week, I love you. I love you very much. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I never take your time for granted, and I am honored that you spend any of it with me. Tell somebody else you love them, and that you love them very much. They may need to hear it. It's gonna make you feel good to tell them. It's gonna make them feel good to hear it. And if you make them some of these snickerdoodles, I promise you, they are gonna know that you love them and taste it in every bite. So until next week for dinner, I'll see you then. All right? I love you. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.